Hey everyone, welcome to the Zawadi Matchless podcast. My name is Cynthia. I am joined by some very interesting guests today, including one Maasai who does not eat meat. I wanna go fragile, fragile, I wanna go fragile. So, we do have some very interesting and wonderful guests today. One of them is called Karuna, and one interesting fact I will boast about before he does is he's vegetarian. So perhaps Karuna, you might want to help us understand how you came to be a vegetarian.
Maasai vegetarian.
Maasai vegetarian.
Oh my God, okay. Yeah, anyway, I just came home one time from boarding school and my mom told me, in this house there's no meat eating. I was like, why? And then she said, it's not good for your health. So first I didn't really follow, but over the time I got to understand the benefits of being vegetarian.
Okay.
There's a lot of change in terms of psychological, health-wise, many reasons. We can talk from now till evening about the advantages of being vegetarian, so it's quite interesting.
I'm sure the audience would like to know what exactly you're saying psychologically it changed. What was the difference between your psychological process before being vegetarian and now
we must agree here, what we eat is what we are.
Yeah.
What we eat is what we are. You are what you eat. So you can imagine eating something that is very aggressive, just like a lion is very aggressive because it's always eating meat, you know. A cow eats grass. Many herbivores, they're very cool, like very calm, like composed, whatever, because they eat herbs, you know.
Okay.
And other animals like carnivores like lions, cheetahs, you know, tigers, they eat flesh, and you find their nature is very aggressive. So the kind of food you eat, you actually take that nature. Okay. So I wanted to be a very cool person. I wanted to be calm. I wanted to feel good all the time. So I picked vegetarianism, and I saw a lot of changes in me after becoming vegetarian. I became cool, I became calm, I became less aggressive. I know myself. When I used to be in primary school, wiki haizi isha kama sijapigana na mtu. Very aggressive. Ukinichokoza, tempers flare, napigana na watu, you know. And then when I became vegetarian, I saw a lot of change in me like that. So there's so many other reasons behind that.
There might be someone who's watching this and they eat meat and they do not necessarily think of themselves as aggressive. In fact, they know they're very calm and collected.
Yeah, like I said, you are what you eat, you know.
Yeah.
So unaweza contain for some time, like utafunika moto mpaka lini. So, moshi tutatoka, italipuka.
Yeah.
For now you may just act, I'm less aggressive, you know, like, but we know. Like, just try go to a place where they slaughter animals, see the nature of the people, see the nature of people who kind of take animals, you know, eat animal products, not animal products, but meat particularly. I've been a vegetarian for so many years right now.
Yeah.
And if you look at people who eat meat and people who are vegetarian, there's a vast, like, heaven, juu na chini, mbingu na chini difference, you know?
Right.
Like black and white, the difference, you know. What vegetarian, ata aura yao, the aura of people who are vegetarians is different than that of people who are non-vegetarians. The
It's
aura,
true.
yes,
Yeah,
you've noticed that yourself.
Yeah. Personal experience.
Personal experience.
Yeah. Okay. Shivananda, you can also perhaps help us understand how you came to be vegetarian so that it's not a Karuna or Cynthia thing.
For me, it was an overnight thing.
Okay.
I read SSR, Science of Self-Realization, and it was actually just a phrase. Prabhupada says, civilized men make use of cow's blood in the form of milk. So I got really intrigued, and from that time I was reading the book, I decided, okay, let's see, if if I can be a vegetarian, so I stopped eating meat immediately. And like Karuna said, the first month, because I knew I was a very aggressive guy, within the first 30 days, I already felt a drastic change in my reactions, to situations that would have otherwise
taken you off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and then you also discover a lot of different ways of eating, because generally you find meat is the main, it's the centerpiece of every meal. But then when you stop eating meat, then you realize
So
you can
many
have
varieties.
so many better alternatives than meat. So yeah, it's been probably 13 years not eating meat.
That's a Kikuyu vegetarian.
With so guys, it does not mean
Need my
that
kitambi out of it.
haimaanishi utakonda ati ukikosa kula nyama. There's so many sources of protein, because I know a lot of people will argue, then where do we get our source of protein?
The question I need to ask you, very simple. Which is the largest animal on earth, on land?
Elephant.
Elephant.
Yeah.
Is a vegetarian? and
Very much
non-vegetarian?
so. Yeah. There, guys, you have your answer in case you're wondering.
I rest my case.
Yeah. So we can also tell the audience, we are talking about meat eating, and we know all these repercussions. It gives you a sense of clarity, and it's also good for the environment, right? So what are we recommending to the people? If they won't eat meat, what are they eating?
Paneer.
Like my friend here said, Shivananda said that Maasai akuli nyama. Okay, I go to my village. The main food parlor is actually like you go to a party, like kama kujachinjwa mna mchezo. Like there has to be meat with the Maasais.
Yes.
And I go there naangalia naona no, amna varieties. When you go to vegetarian restaurants, say the Indian, Indian diet, unajua chapati na ni nyingi. You go to vegetarian restaurants, kuna chakula mpaka hujui jina. There's so much varieties when it comes to vegetarian foods. Ni nyingi sana. Sasa ukiangalia watu stuck with a block of ugali and nyama choma and sasa mimi nikienda nyumbani na wewe vegetarian utakula nini? Unakulaga nini? There is so much. There is like kuna githeri, first of all. Kuna modokoi, kuna panira amesema, wale wajui panira atawaexplainia. Kuna nini ugali, kuna chapati, kuna different types of chapatis.
Everything else in the world is vegetarian apart from meat. Wajua watu wana focused on one ingredient,
Yeah,
but
true.
remove meat from the recipe,
Yes.
everything else is vegetarian.
That's true.
All the vegetables, roots, fruits, kila kitu.
And people say, just to mention, that meat is very nice. By the way, meat becomes very tasty because they use herbs to make it tasty. Otherwise, it's very disgusting. Sorry, sijui kama mnakubaliana hapo. Hata chumvi.
Hata mimi na agree, because even the most well-fried fish still stinks. Yeah.
Lazima madania hapo na machili na matomatoes na nini, na hizo zote ni vegetarian. Hata spices unatumia zote ni vegetarian.
Yeah.
Alafu mnatuambia hapa vegetarian is, meat eating is wapi? There is so much when you're vegetarian.
It's
a
true.
lot.
Yeah.
Angalau jamaa venye amenona vegetarian 13 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
13
Also,
years na ana mchezo.
if you're still watching and you're still trying to fight this, we've said we are what you eat. So you can imagine you've made your body a graveyard. What are you even thinking? How is your consciousness? How do you operate? How do you deal with situations? And like we've said, we do have a variety of other foods that you can have except meat, because we do have a variety of foods. And which brings me to the next question. In our philosophy, we only eat what is offered. So not only are we not eating meat, but it also has to be offered. There's a vegetarian out there who's like, I'm safe, I don't eat meat. but they're not eating offered food, then we can now give them clarity on why it is vegetarian and why it's offered.
Good one. Yes, it's mentioned. In every religion, you're bringing the point of religiosity now here, right? So
Spiritual religion?
spiritual, let me say, use the word spiritual, right? Even religion, like many Christians, you go to many homes, before they eat, they have to pray. You
Yeah.
pray at fungeni macho tuombe chakula, right? That's offering, like to a different religion. There's a way they do that, right?
Right.
They offer the food before they eat. And whenever we are confused on what to do, what not to do, we always, for example, you buy a fridge and you don't know how to use the fridge, it comes with a manual that will guide you what to do. This is how to open the doors, weka hii nini, switch on the light, blah blah blah, weka lights on, itakuja fridge itawaka, uambe usiwash after 8 hours. It's a manual that will guide you basically. Yes. So in the world we have a manual, like scriptures, they tell us. So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 text number 26, Lord Krishna mentions, he says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta praya chote, meaning whoever offers me with love and devotion, point is love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or some water, I will accept. That's the offering Krishna takes. When you look at the 4 things Krishna mentions, there is no mention of meat. He doesn't say, go and kill an animal and bring it to me. No. So we stick with what Krishna wants. You give God the offering what he wants. So there's no mention of killing of animals. There's no mention of killing of chickens, fish, whatever is not mentioned. So we go as per the manual, and the manual for the world is scriptures. So we follow that. So that's why, on a spiritual sense, why we are vegetarians. We give God what he wants. So suppose you are praying for food. You're praying, you're offering it, but you're offering God something that he never asked for. So that's why we don't do that. So we simply offer what he asked for. And if you see pattern for the fruit, the flower, the leaf, and water, they're all vegetarian. Yes. So we offer that. So that's why, we go with the scriptures, what God wants. Like that.
Okay. I understand the part where Krishna has said we offer him these items, but there are some people who read the Bible, and there's a point where Jesus multiplied fish and he offered them.
Good one. If the scarcity of food, say, we don't just, live to eat. There's a reason why we're in this material world. It's to serve God. But kazi yako is just party after party. Kwenda club, fanya hivi, and you don't do anything for devotional service or anything for God. You just want to eat, enjoy all the time. If you're a preacher, this is also quoted by Srila Prabhupada. If you're a preacher and you're going to preach to people and you have to save yourself, so that you can preach, and there's no other food, then on that point, you can actually eat meat. But just people not to take that out of context, there's no way ever a preacher lacks food. There's always food for, a lot of food is there. There's no way you can go and say, oh, there was no food, I ended up eating meat. No. It's becoming a trend, it's becoming a fashion now. Everyone is just getting into meat eating, etc., like that. But not to be very strict, like sometimes to save yourself, there's only some carcass, some dead, and you have to survive to do something big. Then you can eat that to survive, okay? But it's not written anywhere that we should maintain slaughterhouses, butcheries, etc. No. Only on a very extreme situation, then you can engage in meat eating like that. And we can see, you're quoting the Bible, right? Yes, in the Exodus, when the Israelites were leaving Egypt into the promised land, they were on exodus. They were traveling, so they didn't have like crops, they didn't have stores, they didn't have farms, they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So for them to reach the promised land, the animals were dying on the way. They were given order by God, like, yeah, for you to survive and reach the promised land, then it's okay, you can eat. So, but you shouldn't make it like a philosophy. It's a philosophy of meat eating. No, there was the context why they ate meat in that particular time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, that's a good one. So as we are propagating the not eating meat, but also the food is coming in different modes, right?
Yes.
Yes. Then Shivananda, you can tell us about the different modes of food.
Okay, so in Bhagavad Gita we learn that there are 3 modes of nature. Everything is in 3 modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. If you're a spiritual seeker or someone who's spiritually inclined, you want to position yourself in the mode of goodness. So everything you expose yourself to, not just food, music, the way you dress, the layout of your house, it can either be in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. So that's why you find, like, even in most religions, the religious leaders dress in robes, because they're in the mode of goodness, as opposed to, say, a businessman who's in the mode of passion and he's trying to work hard and all this and impress people, so he dresses a very nice, expensive suit. So similarly, if you want to make spiritual advancement, you eat foods that are in the mode of goodness. These are fruits, vegetables, milk products. But even if they're vegetarian, they can be in the mode of passion if prepared differently. So especially we find very spicy food. It might be vegetarian, but if it's very spicy, it's in the mode of passion. So it acts to agitate the senses. Then you have food that is in a mode of ignorance, food that is not fresh, food that is made from meat, and especially meat. When you talk about ignorance, a lot of people, mshaona zile stickers, kumbe chips ni viazi, mtu ajui. So actually with meat, it's even worse, because people don't actually associate the violence with what they're eating, the violence to that animal. So you'll find people animal lovers, and they actually believe, I love animals, because they have a cat or a dog.
Yeah, I love my dog.
Yeah, but in actual fact, they are ignorant of the suffering that cows, goats, chickens, fish go through simply for them to eat. So meat is in the mode of ignorance. Not only that, but also the production process. Like, modern scientists are already talking about how inefficient it is to produce 1 kilogram of beef as opposed to 1 kilogram of beans or rice or anything else. So it's also inefficient in that way. And that's working in the mode of ignorance, you see, because a lot of our resources in the world go to feeding animals.
Yes.
Then we get a little bit of meat from, let's say you have an acre of land each, and one keeps animals and one grows crops, right? The guy who's growing crops will feed many more people over a longer period than the guy who has 1 acre and is keeping cows, but he still has to bring the crops for the cows to eat for such a long time before they can get meat. So in that sense, you have to be very careful what you eat, what mode it's in. So spiritual seekers and philosophers and thinkers, they always tend to go for the simpler, more nourishing food, which is always vegetarian.
That's on 3 modes of material nature.
3 modes of nature.
Okay.
I just wanted to add something on what you eat, right? Is what you say. It's mentioned. Say, this is gross. I'll give the example. Let's take an example of a pig. Pigs don't discriminate on who they mate with. Mother, father, whatever. They
Okay.
don't discriminate,
Didn't know.
right? They just, you know. So the more we eat, the animals we eat, we lose that discrimination also, because the consciousness of the animal gets into you. And this is Nairobi, right? So we've seen how people, you know, engage in sexual intercourse, like, you know,
Kanairo.
with any, you know, like
Yes.
there's no discrimination. We watch news, like sometimes you hear a 60 years old man raping a 2 years old. And then we say apeleko kwa hospitali angaliwe kama kichwa ni mzuri. I mean, where is that coming from? It's
Check your
from
diet.
what you're eating.
Yeah.
What you're eating, the consciousness gets into you. Angalia watu in Nairobi. Okay, let me talk about Nairobi. Watu wako a little bit kidogo wanaogopa, but in some joints, some corners, people do stuff like watu wanashanga. But ukienda Western countries, people don't have discrimination what they do. Like people can do whatever in
Yes.
public. Who do that? Pigs do that, goats do that, chicken do that, and you keep eating that, the consciousness gets into you, and you start behaving like them. Alafu, sasa unakuwa. Srila Prabhupada used to say, what kind of civilization do you have?
Yeah.
A civilization whereby people kill the cow, keep the dog. What kinds of civilization is that? How is a dog helping you? You know, you keep
True.
it, but you kill the cow. But the cow has like every benefit from manure, from milk, from everything. You get it from a cow. But the civilization we are having, we kill that cow and keep the dog. What are you getting from the dog? Topsy-turvy world, you see. So there's so much about that being vegetarian, but we have to be careful. What you eat is what you are. Yes. You eat an animal, you start behaving like that animal. Even the names we have, like you're a chick. What's a chick in English? You're a fly. What's a fly? You know, we start getting names of that, you know, of animals, you know, because of some of the things, you know, unakula hizo vitu mpaka you start behaving like them, you become that.
Yeah.
A lot of hypocrisy. Anyway.
Yeah. I can also add on that, like we also know a lot of diseases that come from meat eating. So this can be solved by restructuring your diet. And kuna kitu watu shinda wakisema kuna kitu tamu kama nyama. So I've heard it severally. And so this is just to urge you, if at all you find yourself having these diseases, then it must be something in your diet. And also it does not just affect your physical body, even your consciousness, your spirituality. Like, guys, if you really take your spirituality to be precious, then I think what we're giving you are gems. We've said we are supposed to offer food, right? We pray for the food before we eat it.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between how others might put the food on the table and say, thank you, God, for this food, and us who are offering it and calling it prashad?
I guess it's the cultural differences, the nitty-gritty rules that differ from different spiritual cultures. Because you find in Islam, for example, they have rules that make the food that they eat to be halal. And if it's not prepared according to the rules, it becomes haram, which means it will be bad for you even spiritually. In Judaism, the Jews, they follow kosher rules to make sure that anything they eat has to be prepared in a certain way. So similarly, also us, we have what we call prashad. Prashad is spiritualized food. So we may say, okay, fine, we are vegetarians, but someone may argue even the plant has life. You're also killing plants, and that's true. But to sanctify that, you have to offer the preparation to God first. So basically, sanctifying is offering whatever you have prepared for the pleasure of the Lord. You know, this is like a sacrifice. This is for the pleasure of the Lord, not for your own pleasure. It's for the pleasure. Then you take what we call remnants, or it's the mercy of the Lord. Now that's what we call prashad. You know, we are not preparing it for our own enjoyment. Otherwise, you you might eat anything you want. But because we have rules for prashad, then, and you have to pray for it, and you find in any civilized community, there is that aspect of eating, praying before you eat. There are rules. But now in modern life, you find most of these rules around food have been disregarded. Like even things like fast food, people don't even sit down to eat. Just order and you eat while walking. That has become very normal. But even in African culture, that was a no-no. You have to sit down, respect the food, appreciate the process, even from farming to the whole process. So it's being in tune with appreciating that God is the one who supplies all the food. In short, in any culture, you have to show appreciation for God giving us the rain and the sun to grow the food and preparing it for His pleasure.
So the words halal, haram, Arabic, right? So yeah, it is Arabic. Arabic. So it's basically like Swahili, right? Haramu.
Yeah.
And halali, it's legal,
exactly.
illegal, like,
exactly.
same. So pressure. So what happens now when you eat something that has followed the due process, like it's clean, it followed, God says this is what He wants, and you follow. You get that purification, right?
Yeah.
Is it beneficial for the body?
Exactly. Like there's this thing African Americans say, soul food. The whatever they're saying, that's not soul food. That's food. But because they came up with that type of music called soul music, so they soul food. But actual soul food is food that nourishes both the body and the soul. And the only way for food to nourish the soul is if it is spiritualized through prayer, through offering it to God. That's the main difference. That's how you get soul food. That's when the food that you eat actually impacts your mind positively, as opposed to what we were talking about, food in the mode of passion or ignorance, which would now force you to act in,
certain ways.
Yeah, like they have, what do they call them? Aphrodisiacs. Aphrodisiacs are food that everyone knows heightens your sexual desires.
I'd like an example.
Example?
Yeah, of an aphrodisiac food.
I think what?
There is actually chocolate and cocoa.
Chocolates, jugu, peanuts.
Okay, I see.
And worst of all is pig.
And also garlic and onions.
Pig?
Yeah, pig. People who eat pig
pork.
behave like pigs.
Okay. And also garlic and onions.
Okay.
Even some vegetarian food is very bad to agitate the sexual desires.
Yeah, like chocolate is vegetarian.
Yeah, and that's why you find even for romantic holidays like Valentine's, they focus on chocolates,
And those who don't like chocolates?
Don't eat it.
See when you're tupendi?
Jugu.
Chocolates.
If you don't like it,
Yeah, I don't.
you eat njugu then.
Okay.
Njugu inakunyorosha.
Yeah, kuna chakula mingi sana.
All right.
Same thing. Onions and garlic.
Yeah.
Because
They agitate the senses.
they agitate the senses.
So they're actually in the mode of passion. You eat, you become passionate, hyper, unakimbia hapa na pale. So sisi kama Hare Krishna, we don't eat garlic and onions.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, because it's in the mode of passion. Yeah.
Okay. Someone might be watching and they're on the verge of becoming vegetarian, but they are allergic to beans, allergic to milk, lentils, cabbage.
Wait, when you say beans, which beans? Unajua kuna variety nyingi sana za beans.
Let's just say greens. Maybe if they eat it, they kind of get an allergic reaction. So what would you tell this person? They're trying really to be vegetarian, and then, but they have allergic reactions to these halal foods.
Yeah, first time I'm hearing from you, mtu ako allergic na. Yeah, for example, kuna hizo marago zinaitwa ni wairimu ama zinaitwa nyayo. Nyayo, like big. Kuna some types of maragwe.
Njahe.
They give a lot of njahe, very good, very strong. Like unakula unashiba, mzito. But kuna nyayo, ni nyayo. big ones. Kuna wairimo, kuna nyayo, kuna whatever, different types. Mimi mwenyewe nikikula nyayo, I get gas kwa stomach, a lot of gas. So okay, si kuna yang jahe, kuna wairimo, kuna hizo zingine, there are different varieties of grains ni nyingi. Alafu kuna hizo zinaitwa chickpeas, also. Alafu kuna soya also. Unajua unaweza chukua, kuna variety. Kama hii inakuharibikia, you pick another one. Kama hiyo nyingine inakuharibikia, you pick another one. Then greens are so many, Kama huwezi kula sukuma, si ukule spinach, ama terere, ama managu, ama
And actually, a lot of these issues of allergies zinakuja because people don't know their body types, and because there's no education on the type of body that you have, you just eat whatever everyone else is eating, then you get complications. So in Vedic culture, there's Ayurveda. Ayurveda is basically the science of health and food and all that. So you basically have 3 doshas, 3 types of it's getting complicated.
Doshas.
So
Tell them what doshas are.
Doshas means your body is the water type, the fire type, or the earth.
Yeah, the elements that make up the body. Okay. So there's a different constitution of elements in every single person. Just like everyone has your unique thumbprint.
Yeah.
So everyone has a unique constitution of the different elements.
Okay. Yes.
So you may react very differently to the same food, and that's where having a dosha test, you can just go on to the internet and do a simple test. You find out what your dosha is.
Yes.
And once you know what your dosha is, then you know what you can digest easily.
Yeah.
For
Then you don't get those issues.
Sorry to cut you, but for example, this guy here, he was told, he thought, I should stop eating sugar because I'm gaining weight. And he actually stopped, and something bad happened to him. Then eventually was told, by the way, dude, eat sugar. Then when he ate sugar, he solved the problem, you see? Okay, yeah. So there's that's what we're saying about doshas. No, you should know what's your dosha. Like, this is what you need to do, you should do this. And basically in the mature world out there, people know it. That's why they go to the people called nutritionists. They tell you, eat this, eat them. Yeah, that's Western.
Western equivalent of the doshas. The 3 types of bodies. Kuna mtu anajua? There's 3 types of bodies, like the ectomorph, endomorph,
something.
And scientists, please.
Something. Anyway, yeah. So that's
3.
So there's no one who ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. Yeah. So they're literally what you find in the Tridosha: Kapha, Vata, and Pitta.
Pitta, yeah.
Wow.
Pitta.
I'm learning. I don't know about you guys, but I'm being schooled today. So there is no excuse. You have to know your dosha.
Doshas, yeah.
And then you will know what kind of foods react or which ones your body can accept. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Kamita's question.
What?
There was a question about.
Yeah, Kamita, what was the question?
Of people who claim that actually meat eating is allowed in the Bible.
In the Bible.
In the
Bible, Old Testament, right?
Okay.
Yeah, speak. School me.
Yeah, so people may argue. They say, we Christians or we Muslims, in our scriptures it said you should kill an animal, just like he mentioned the word haram. Haram means something that is not ordained in your scriptures. But for Muslims, they say if a fellow Muslim, slaughters the animal, then it's halal. And when they slaughter, they say some prayer. Otherwise, if they don't say that prayer, it becomes haram. Okay. Now we go to Christianity. There was a law, I think Leviticus 11 laws. God spoke to Moses and Aaron and said, these animals should be the word is sacrifice. Because, I'll come to that, let me just a little bit elaborate on that. You see, out of the 12 tribes of Israel, Levites, who was a tribe of priests.
Yeah.
They are the pujaris, the priests. They're the ones who are actually supposed to do the sacrifice of the animals.
Okay.
And so therefore they're getting orders from God, told to Moses and Aaron, what should be sacrificed to me? So they say, the animals with hooves that are split into two, they chew cuts, those animals are clean. Sacrifice, the word is sacrifice. So here we have to differentiate between sacrifice and slaughter. So sacrifice, you sacrifice to God. He's saying sacrifice. He's giving the authority, the order, you should do that. But now, the current age we live in, people say, we don't use the word sacrifice. Nobody is sacrificing anything. So they say, oh yeah, it's what we maintain, it's just slaughterhouse, which is we are against. We shouldn't. But if there is a word sacrifice, then you can sacrifice. Not to mean that in Vedic scriptures or what we follow, there is no sacrifice. There was sacrifice. People used to sacrifice like 1,000 horses, 100 horses, called Ashwamedha sacrifice. It's there. You can do that. People used to do that. And but the innocent killing of animals, this is what forbidden. We shouldn't be doing this, especially in the age of Kali. People take scripture, they change scriptures to suit their own whims. This is contrary to scriptures. Many places is mentioned. We go back to Genesis 1:9, where it says what the food, when man was created, what he was asked to eat. What should be your food? So he was told plants, honey, grains, this. He was given, the whole list is there. There is no mention of meat again. You go back to the prophet's time, Isaiah 66:3. It mentions, it says, if you kill an animal, whatever you're offering incense.
An ox is as one who kills a man.
Yes, one who kills an ox is as good as killing a man or breaking a dog's neck. All that is there. There's a whole list. So, what does God say? Is it to hell? Does he say to hell or something? He uses something like that. Go away, I don't want to see your sacrifices. Dirty, filthy,
bloodied hands.
Stained hands, yeah.
No,
I don't want...
The main difference between sacrifice and slaughter is that slaughter has a lot of rules. Like even without going all the way to Christianity, even in traditional African cultures, we know that you have to sacrifice a specific animal of a specific age, of a specific gender, on a specific day.
Yes.
The person performing the sacrifice has to say specific prayers. There are a lot of rules to sacrificing an animal, right? And if you don't do that, then that's what is known as haram. The sacrifice will be illegal, and anyone who consumes that meat will be what?
Overcome by sin.
Overcome by sin. Sacrifice, although it was allowed, even in the Vedic scriptures, in the Bible, in the Quran, all these places, it was always allowed. But it is so strict, because you're literally killing an animal, right? It was so strict on how it should be done. Unaambiwa lazima kuku ikuwe ya red. Lazima ikuwe this
black.
Age. Yeah. So many rules for the sacrifice to be successful. Even if one thing is off, that sacrifice won't be successful, right? So that time passed. That's why even when Jesus came, there wasn't sacrifice. He wasn't participating in sacrifice. In modern Vaishnava culture, we had previously sacrifice in the Vedas, but in this day and age, it's not allowed because, first of all, you can't find the priests who are able to say the right prayers.
Yeah.
Eligible people, eligible people.
Not just anyone. Now, what we have currently is slaughter.
Yeah.
Slaughter, I don't know whether anyone has ever gone to a slaughterhouse. Guys are just killing all the animals. Any animal. There was a story on BBC whereby in the UK, they were documenting the mental disorders of the abattoir workers. Because killing animals in that way messes with your brain. You know, sometimes they are talking about they cut a cow open, they find a calf inside. You know, so all these things are not supposed to be done. That's why you should not eat meat, in a very simple sense. Sacrificial, that was allowed, but where will you find the priests? Where will you find the animal? Even the arena where you perform the sacrifice. There are so many rules to cleanse that place. That's why you used to find the sacrifice used to happen at a very specific place, like a mountain, the bottom of a mountain, or under a certain tree. You know, all these rules have to be followed, but not just going to the butchery and buying kilo quarter. That's just sinful. You know, you're killing animals for no reason.
I like that. I like that.
You like the sacrifice?
No, I like that I'm learning a lot. As much as I might know, I just don't know everything. And today has been quite eye-opening. So you might be here and you are a reader of the Bible and you're like, you know, actually one of the 10 commandments God gave Moses was like, do not kill. If he really just wanted human beings, he would have said, do not murder. But he generally said, do not kill. Kill includes everything, right? So, and this is to urge us to be aware of what we're putting in our bodies, be it what you're watching, what you're listening to, or especially what you're eating as well. So, who cooks prashad?
Cooks prashad. Yeah, that's what we were talking about, the people who should cook food, just like the sacrifice. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It is a particular person specific. So for the consciousness of the cook matters, just like we are saying prashad. Prashad means food that is cooked by a devotee, offered by a devotee, and served by a devotee with love and devotion. Then it becomes prashad. It can be prashad, it can be cooked by a devotee, it's offered by a devotee, but the way it's served, maybe not by a devotee, may not complete its purpose. So like unasaviwa na roho mbaya, so inaharibu kila kitu. So all the three have to go together.
Okay.
Cooked by a devotee, served by a devotee, cooked, served, offered and served by a devotee. These three have to go
Actually, I
together.
read somewhere where Prabhupada goes even further, where he says not only cooking, you should actually plant. You know, so like you're planting for God. You know, so sazile unalima shamba, you're not thinking hapa ndapata profit fulani. So you're thinking, I'm going to plant these seeds. So unachagua the best seeds. I'm going to use the best fertilizer, cow dung, not fertilizer, not these chemical fertilizers. So you're actually doing the whole idea of being God conscious is you're fully conscious of what you're doing for God, right?
Yes.
So you'll get the best seeds because you want to satisfy God. You'll plant them in the best soil because you want to satisfy God. So there'll be no shortcut because shortcuts come as a result of money consciousness, not God consciousness.
Right.
So you're thinking, let me, wacha nipige dawa, wacha nipige fertilizer, you know,
Faida haraka haraka.
faida haraka haraka. But when you're trying to do something good, then you take so much time to make sure the whole process is done properly.
Yeah.
So from planting, then again I was reading, even if it's vegetarian food, when you're picking kama ni skuma, you have to be careful. Just like you can't offer in sacrifice, let's say a goat which has an injury. You know, that one everyone knows. So similarly at a skuma, you cannot cook for the Lord skuma ambayo imekulwa na wadudu.
Yeah,
You see?
true.
So it has to be very clean, the whole leaf and all that. The fruits have to be nice and clean, not eaten by bugs or
doodles.
anything.
Even
that.
you serve, you don't take
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Then, before you even start cooking, you have to be clean physically. Then you have to pray. So for us, it's you have to chant on our beads. We chant on our beads 16 rounds, so that you purify even your consciousness. Because that's a little known secret about cooking. People don't know that the consciousness of the cook
Affects.
actually enters the food, right? So what happens is that actually people do know, but I
They
don't
don't
think
pay it
they
little
don't
mind.
Yeah,
they
because
put-
there's
yeah.
that saying for ladies. They say the way to a man's heart is through the stomach, right? They
Even
just
for
say
guys, no?
they just say
What?
they just say the phrase, but they don't actually know the implication. Because when you're stirring, and especially when you're stirring the food, right? So imagine a lady. Everyone says, "Oh, my mom is the best cook in the world."
Yeah.
To some extent, that's true. Because the mother, when she's going to the market, she's thinking,
How do I satisfy my
yes,
kids?
my firstborn anapendanga maragwe. My secondborn doesn't like maragwe, he prefers ugali. My husband likes githeri. So when she's going shopping, she's already conscious of who she's preparing for, right?
Right.
And when she's cooking, the actual korogaing, that's when the consciousness enters. So, and there's actually a rule, unafa koroga clockwise. Ofai
Koroga.
koroga. Ofai koroga anti-clockwise. Because anti-clockwise is actually, hapo ndio mtu weka the bad vibes. You know, na hapo actually ndio nilikuwa nasikia jina kuroga imetoka kwa kukoroga. Right? So, mtu akikorogea chakula anti-clockwise and he's wishing ill for you.
Anakuroga.
Yes. When you eat that food,
Itakuwa
affect negatively. And even the Bible says it's better a simple meal where there is love than a feast where there is no love.
Yeah.
See, so the consciousness of food affects you. Same thing when I was talking about the lady cooking for her family, because she was conscious of, you know, my firstborn, my husband, my lastborn, what they like and what they don't like. When they are eating, they'll actually feel that consciousness. That's why everyone thinks their mother is the best cook. It's not that, yeah, she's actually the best cook, but for them, she is, because she's cooking with that consciousness. This will be the best food for my family, right? So when you go to these high-end restaurants, most of them say, "Oh, our food is made with love." That's not true. That's just marketing.
True.
They don't know how to put love in the food the way a mother would know how to put love, because it's the consciousness. These ones, what they love is your money.
Yeah.
Because you go to the same restaurant tomorrow with no money, they won't feed you.
True.
So they don't love you. Their
They
food is
don't.
not made. Their food is made with love for your money. See,
Yeah.
so you have to be very careful the consciousness of the food that you eat. You know.
You can actually, just to add on what he's saying, you can actually eat food. You enter some restaurant, you're in a good mood, good spirits, you know. You sit to eat that food, then you find yourself, all of a sudden, mood imechange.
Yeah.
Umekuwa angry.
Yeah.
Ama umeanza kufikiria vitu, like, umeanza kuwa lusty, unaanza kufikiria mambo ya sex. Why? The cook was thinking about sex. The cook was thinking about money. Cook walikuwa napigana huko ndani kwa kitchen, umeletewa chakula, wewe umekula, unaanza kupigana.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
Consciousness, what enters into the food. So,
As we conclude, Karuna, tell us why we are vegetarian and we're still drinking milk.
vegetarian does not mean we should not drink milk. Vegetarianism means any other thing besides meat. We can eat animal products like paneer, cheese, butter, milk is part of that. We're supposed. Honey is nothing to do with the cow, Baba. Talking about cows.
Animal products.
Animal products. Oh, honey is an animal. It's an animal.
Yeah.
It's an
Bees
insect.
an animal.
Have additional comment?
Huh?
Yeah, so you find, in as much as vegans are right about the mistreatment of animals, that's mostly in the Western world where they have factory farms. And literally from birth till death, this is, the animal is treated like a product. What we have is cow protection. We don't have dairy farms, we have cow protection. From the point the cow is either acquired or born, it will never be killed. It will not ever be hit. You know, it's treated like a member of the family. It's actually in the Vedic scriptures. It's understood that we have 7 mothers. and the cow is one of our mothers, right? So let's say, for instance, a lady dies during childbirth. The one animal that can sustain the child is the cow. See, so the cow's milk is unlike any other milk. It's actually similar to human milk. So a child, and I actually know of someone who was in that situation, their mom died during childbirth, and they've actually grown up on just cow milk.
Not
And
formula.
Not actually, formula is a scam. There's enough information on the internet. Formula is a scam. But yeah, the cow is actually referred to as one of our mothers. In contemporary culture, we find that people talk about Mother Earth, right?
Yeah.
The earth as our mother. That still comes from the Vedic culture. We are supposed to see the earth as our mother. She gives us all this food, and she gives us, she actually tolerates our nonsense, because you see, we are mistreating the earth, we are polluting the rivers, we are cutting down the trees, mining, all these things, but yet, because she's our mother, she loves us.
Yeah.
So similarly, the cow is one of our mothers, just like also the 7 mothers, I think we should just list them, is the mother who gives birth to you. That's your first mother. Second mother, the earth. The earth is everyone's mother, everyone on earth, from the plants to the animals. She's also a mother. The
Midwife,
the lady who gives birth to you, she's also your mother. The wife of the leader, either the king or
Queen.
the president.
Queen, First Lady.
Yeah. So that's why you say, like, president is Baba wa Taifa. So Mama wa
First-
Taifa is the
First
first
Lady.
lady. So she's literally the representative of our collective mother in that country, right? That's 5. Then there's the wife of the spiritual preceptor, the spiritual teacher.
Your pastor's wife.
Pastor's wife. That's like your spiritual mother, right? So 6. Gani ingine nimesahau mbili. The nurse. Yeah. Like, even in traditional African society, you find that the nursemaid could also breastfeed the child when the mother is not nearby.
Okay.
So saa zingine, the mom maybe has gone to the farm, umeachwa nyumbani, and the nurse is someone who could also lactating or breastfeed or whatever. Anaweza breastfeed. So like that sense, unapata hata mtoto anareziwa na 2-3 mothers in the village.
Okay.
Those are 6.
7, you said all the 7. Yeah.
Those are 7.
So 7
So
mothers.
the cow is one of our mothers, and we
See.
cannot survive without the cows. And that's why cows especially are to be protected. That's why we find in Vedic culture, even though there were sacrifices, there was never cow sacrifice. It was not allowed. You could
Yeah.
sacrifice other lower animals, but not the cow.
Yeah.
It's
Because the
like
cow is
killing your own mother.
Killing your own
Yeah.
mom. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also, just to add on what he's saying, Goshala. They say 2 scenarios: people who are keeping dairy cows and devotees who protect cows. They look the same, but there's a huge difference between the two of them. The ones who are keeping dairy cows, etc., they inject cows, they beat them, they mistreat them, they don't feed them well, etc., because it's commercial purposes.
Yeah.
Just to get more milk, inject them to get more milk, But those who protect, the milk from the two is different.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what we maintain is Goshala, protect cows like your own mother. So that's the difference.
And actually, what he's saying, because of the hormones and the mistreatment of cows, the milk is actually very bad for you. When you take milk from such cows, it actually reacts. That's why you find a lot of people are being
Lactose intolerance. That's how it comes about. Yeah.
and all these side effects.
Yeah.
And also, milk is also a very complicated food. It's not a simple food. It's a very complicated. You can literally live on milk alone.
That's it.
For 2 weeks, I took milk, nothing else but milk. And he was telling me that in Maasai culture also, you can stay for a whole month. And there's a book to that extent, The Miracle of Milk, written in 1923, which basically details how you can use milk as medicine to cure anything that you have in your body.
So therefore, you take milk.
Yeah.
You can take milk. There's a lot of benefit benefits from milk. So vegetarians do take milk. So we're not like vegans.
Yeah, even in the Bible, you find so many times the land of
milk and honey.
so many times.
That's
Milk and
true.
honey.
Yeah. Is it
So-
not interesting how our health can be affected by how we keep the animals that we are taking products from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, even plants. You find, because there's this, you can say, a resurgence of organic food. Traditionally, we used to have everything was organic.
Yeah.
Then the companies came and told us, no, you need to use pesticides, you need to use fertilizers.
Yeah.
Now people are starting to realize these things are actually not good for your health, because cancer and all other diseases. So now people are going back to the traditional. And traditional, to grow crops, use cow dung. That's another thing that cows help. Cows don't just give us milk, they give us cow dung.
And it's antiseptic.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Everything from a cow is always beneficial.
yeah. The
everything
cow
is
urine,
true.
you can use it as pest repellent
Yeah,
on the farm.
medicinal,
Just
so many
spray
things.
it instead of spraying chemicals.
True.
So the value of a cow is immeasurable.
Magnanimous.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
It's just too much
And
about
you
it.
don't just take milk. From milk, you can get yogurt, you can get ghee, butter, cheese.
So many varieties of sweets.
Yeah,
You know?
milk sweets. So many.
Milk
Yeah.
sweets. So many. And
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Just to recap on something Karuna said a while back about offering food, just to add on that, I was listening to this lecture from Bhakti Damodar Swami, and he was saying, in the essence of, you said, only a devotee can prepare, serve, and offer the food.
Yes.
So in this lecture, he was saying how the consciousness in a temple
Mm.
is determined by the cooks and the pujaris.
Yes.
Otherwise, if these people are not straight, then of course the ambience in the temple will not
Their
be.
consciousness will affect you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
So those are the two people who are holding the consciousness. I just wanted to add on that.
Mhm.
But this is, we're going to conclude the episode. It's very interesting, very deep. We are definitely going to do more of this in terms of, food consciousness. Other than that, I'd like to thank you so much, Karuna and Shivananda. Thank you
Yes.
so much for having the time to come on this episode.
Yeah. It was nice. It
Thank
was a
you for
nice
your-
topic. I was enjoying the whole thing today.
Thank you very much.
Really nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare.
I wanna go